Good morning. Welcome back to Chevy Chase Farm. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. They're really looking good. I'm down here in the chicken paddock, or at least where the chickens are right now. And I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into this batch of chickens. If you're rather new to the channel, when I raise chickens, I call it truly pasture raised, truly free ranging chickens. This group of chickens right here are on about a 1/4 acre little paddock that I have set up. I use poultry netting in order to protect them. It's not on right now, but this is electrified. It protects them from predators, ground predators primarily. If you watch my videos, you've noticed, or you've heard in the past couple, I did start having for the first time some aerial predator problems. I did have a family of red tails, 2 mom and dads and a couple of juveniles that came in and took out several of the chickens. Considering I'm not using a chicken tractor, so a predator can get in here. I have a hypothesis about my aerial predators. One, I didn't have any problem with them. And I've raised about 650 chickens this year this way. My first hypothesis of why I didn't have problems is because of this. This is the paddock right beside the chickens. And what you see is I have a flock of sheep. And when I did have my predator problems, my hawk problems, I had moved the sheep down to my corral by the barn because I had a couple of them going to the processor. Within 24 hours of me moving the sheep away from the chickens, I had my hawk problems. When I moved the sheep back up here with the chickens, I have not had a hawk problem since. Now, there's several other variables. The other thing I did, I added some owl decoys. There's one there, there's one right there. They get moved about every day and a half or so. So that could have been it. I also relocated 2 of the hawks, and that could have been it. So I'm not completely sure it's the sheep. I would love for it to be that. I would love for it to be that these sheep, with their size and their proximity to the chickens, makes the hawks think twice about flying in, because with my setup, that would work extremely well. These chickens have free range over this paddock, and again, it's about a 1/4 acre. I have had this question a couple of times about my covers. This is a cover. I have 2 of them in this particular paddock. There's nothing around it. It's just a place for them to get under, out of the rain, and also it provides shade. This one here is about 2 foot off the ground. It has 2 wheels on the back. It has 2 posts on the front and 5 corrugated steel panels on top. It is very light. I made it out of non-pressure treated wood, and with the bigger tires, it is extremely easy to move. I put feeders out here. Generally, I put the feeders out front of the chickens. It encourages them to move out. A couple waterers. Right now, in this batch, I have 100 chickens. My goal is next year, I think with my same setup, now I'd have to make the paddock size bigger. I'm thinking about 250 to maybe even 500 chickens at a time. With not much more labor, I would need bigger waterers, bigger feeders. I don't think that would be much of a problem given this setup, which I really like. I really like this truly free range setup. These chickens are about 7 weeks and a couple of days old at this point, almost 7.5 weeks. They will continue to move over the next few days. They will end up there where there's a gate, and that is where I'll load them out at. And they go to the processor next Tuesday, so about 5 days from now. Let me talk a little bit about these chickens. These are Cornish Cross, so they are the more traditional chicken that you find at the grocery store. However, they're normally raised in a combined warehouse type setting, so they get very little movement, very little exercise. If you ever watch a documentary, YouTube, anything about these chickens, and the way they're raised, what you're going to find is they are very susceptible to heart problems and to leg problems. Their chest gets very big and their legs have a hard time supporting it. So these birds will be here for 8 weeks. I think in some of these settings they're growing them out in about 6 weeks. What I have found, I had my heart problem that I talked about. I have not lost a single bird, not one, to a leg problem or a heart problem, or what I would call a health problem. And I have found that with all the batches of birds that I've raised this year. This natural setting, putting them on pasture, allowing them to forage and get exercise and fresh air and sunshine, it absolutely has an impact on their overall health. I have 2 different age groups. One batch of the birds, one half of them are a week behind the others. However, they're all going to go to the processor at the same time. Half will be 7 weeks, half will be 8 weeks. The other thing you'll see with these birds are that they are straight run. Straight run means the hatchery just selects the chicks and you get males and females. Right here's a great example. This bird right here with the big comb on top of his head, that is a male. Right here, that is a female, and there's a female. Actually, there's several females. In this batch, I think I've gotten more females than maybe males. The other thing I found, I'm gonna weigh one right here, I want to show you. The males that I received, that will actually be 8 weeks here in a few days, they have gotten really big, really big. The hens, the females, have not gotten as big, and then you have the second batch. So I am going to have a wide range of chickens this time. Definitely easier catching these great big birds. But right here is a male, a rooster, from that first batch. I do want to get a weight on him, and let's see how much he weighs. He's going to tip the scale over 9 pounds. If you've been watching my videos, the batch of Freedom Ranger I took in at 10 weeks, the couple batches, they were 7 pounds live weight. This guy's going to be 9 pounds. No leg problems, no heart problems. Healthy chicken, but he's getting pretty big. I would rather take him in closer to 7 pounds. He don't want to move a lot, but you can see he can still get around. Here's a hen. Here's a hen. I'm pretty sure from that same batch, that early batch. Let's see what she weighs. She's going to be at that 7 pound mark, actually a little over, in about 7.5 weeks. That right there, for me, is a great sized bird. From a whole bird perspective, it would process out just under 5 pounds. What I found is a lot of people like a whole bird, about 4 pounds or so she's still going to be kind of big. If you were to part her out, and even that other big one, they're going to have very large skinless, boneless breasts, which a lot of people like as well. Now, let me see if I can find, I'm going to try to find a rooster that's from that second batch that is a whole week younger. Here's a rooster that's from the second batch. I can tell it for a couple of reasons. One, it's smaller. Two, and primarily the comb and his wattles here, they're not nearly as big as the other one, so he's not mature, so a week younger. Let's take a look at his weight. So he's a little over 6.5 pounds. In the next 5 days, he will definitely be at the 7 pound mark, maybe a little bigger. He will actually be a perfect sized bird for me. A couple things here. One, these Cornish Cross chickens, they absolutely can thrive out here in this free range environment. Not only thrive, I think their performance is better than what you would see in other places. No hormones, no antibiotics, no vaccines, fresh air, sunshine, no health problems, no leg issues, no heart attacks. They absolutely can do very well out here. The second thing, with this batch of chickens, especially when they're straight run, you could get a very wide range of chicken that you could do different things with. Here's what I'm thinking about. Next year, I would like to put 250 to 500 of these on pasture at a time. At 7 weeks, I would harvest and process the roosters. You saw that rooster at 7.5, it was over 9 pounds. It's almost too big for what I want to do with it. So at 7 weeks, all those roosters I would process. At 8 weeks, I would then process all the hens or any of the smaller birds. Well, this may have been more than you ever wanted to know about chickens, but if you can't tell, I really love raising these. I think they're a lot of fun, and the way that I'm doing it, I just really like the outcome of the chicken. Definitely healthier, more humane. As always, I appreciate you watching the channel, appreciate all the support for the farm. You can find out more about us at www.coveychasefarm.com. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, make sure you do that on your way out, and have a great week.